Okay, well, I'm here now with Dan Carroll, the chairman of the Republic of Ireland Ladies Snooker Association. He's a man who's been involved in snooker for many decades. Tell us a bit about what you do and how it all began for you.
Yeah, go back maybe about 33 years ago. We set up the Republic of Ireland Ladies Snooker Association on the 17th of July 1986. And since then we've kind of moved on a little bit from 40 players then on up to over 200 or 300 players who've now played through our school systems. But in the last 7 or 8 years, we've got snooker into schools, into youth reach centres, and we've setting up an academies around the place, and a particular academy in Newbridge in Ireland, where we're going to get new tables in there before the end of this year, and it'll be the first ever ladies academy for female cue sports. Also on the special needs scene, we've been running that for the last 7 years, and we have a number of schools who have full-size tables, and we've probably about 70 girls along with boys as well playing snooker and billiards on that scene. Stars Academy Ireland is another branch of our organisation that's now moved into the school system, and come this September, October, we're probably looking at holding school events, which will become school stars academies, something like a Q school type stuff, And we'll be encouraging those kids then to come out and play on the national circuit, but in RILSA and RIBSA, both for the boys and the girls. So hopefully that'll all work well in the future.
And what is the working relationship now like between RILSA and RIBSA?
Well, at the moment we're in talks. We're having discussions over the next period to see can we come up with some sort of a memorandum of understanding and try and work together as two organisations, but independent of each other. And that's the objective of our organisation, is to become a recognised independent body for female cue sports. It's been working for us now for the last 7 or 8 years in particular. We've built it up into hundreds of players taking part, coming out on the national circuit. They don't all stick with it, but however, we're going to move ahead and see can we develop it a little bit further. But we now have 48 events held every year on our calendar. It's never heard of, so we're really proud of the work we're doing. It's all voluntary, we don't get any funding, but we're there pushing it, and we have a great team behind us between the schools and youth reach centres, and now there's a lot more other people coming involved. When it comes to international events, we're getting a little bit of publicity there, and it's nice to have Philip Whalem on our side when it comes to the billiards and snooker for female cue sports, and David Richardson. They're great people over here in the UK. And we've look at Alex here and Rob and all the guys here who welcomed us first ever 4 ladies from Ireland to play billiards. It's unbelievable. Going back 6 months ago, we wouldn't have thought this would happen. But at least it's breaking through for us,
Things have moved on a lot in a very short space of time, there's no doubt about that. But Republic of Ireland has got similar problems to United Kingdom insofar as club closures, and a lot of young people don't live that close to a club anymore. How much of a challenge has that been for you, and has that meant that your academy has taken on a new importance and a new emphasis because of that?
Yeah, certainly. It's with club closures all over the place, it's not easy for organisations to run events. But again, we can look back at going back years ago where you could run events at county level, because there is around 200 clubs in Ireland, believe it or not. Now they're small clubs, 1 and 2 table clubs, but they're busy little clubs over weekends in particular, and there's actually clubs down in Laois, for instance. We have 7 or 8 clubs down there who are constantly playing leagues amongst one another, so they need to be brought on board and brought into the fore of snooker and billiards in Ireland. So hopefully things will pick up and move on. And we know we lost a lot of sponsorship with the likes of the cigarettes and stuff. We lost a lot of that. But again, I can see, beginning to build again from grassroots level is so important. And to make levels, create the levels. Because if you don't create those levels, it's not going to advance. So we need to kind of have a pyramid system where you have, you're coming up from beginner to intermediate to amateur. And even for the professional players, coming back to the amateur game, some of them won't. So it'd be nice to see some sort of a semi-professional tour there for those guys.
I think so, because in the Republic of Ireland I look at what Rodney Goggins and Michael Judge have done. They've dropped off the professional tour, but they're still very active in these events. It would be good to keep them in active competition.
Of course, certainly, because these guys are excellent players, fantastic players, and we're proud of them. We're proud of all these guys who are taking part on an international basis in the IBSF and Europeans, and we've had great success there. Well, RIBS have had great success with the guys, and it's fair play to them, and we support them fully, and we're behind them 100%. And likewise with the women's sport, we need to get people on board and to see it from a different viewpoint. and to encourage the girls, because they're way behind the men's game in regards to standards. But we're creating those standards, and it's only over a period of time. It could be 10 years, 15 years before we start producing world-class players at female level, so it's about coming together now as two groups of people and working hard for the game, and that's important, but with a different outlook. The old ways are gone, and we're now moving on into the future, and that's what's important. And I hope that, in the near future, with talks with RILSA and ourselves, that this will become part and parcel of the new regime.
Well, I hope you're right, because society has changed, and there's so many. You're competing with so many other attractions nowadays, with computers and mobile phones and everything. Getting young people involved is not as easy as it once was, so we certainly would welcome that. The work you do with young people with special needs, and even older people with special needs, there are a series of tournaments you run. It's a very good way of not only socialising but developing skills. You've done a lot of good work in that area, I think.
Thanks very much, Marcus. Yeah, we've put a lot of effort into trying to get tables into the schools there, and a lot of the school teachers and people working within the schools are very supportive of what we're trying to do. And we're learning all the time. We'll never know everything, but we're learning all the time, and we've found out that the actual sport of billiards and snooker amongst these people actually improves their coordination, their maths, all this, and social interaction, as you say, from getting away from the computer side of stuff. But also they look forward to their tournaments every year. Now, we've been running ladies tournaments and men's tournaments for the last 7 years through special needs, and they really put a lot into it, and they come out in their droves to play in the tournaments. And thanks to Aidan Murray, one of our billiards players in Ireland, who's put a lot of effort in particular to St Mark's in Newbridge. He's done a lot of work there. And then we have John Hogan in St Lazarians in Carlow, who do great work on behalf of the special needs, and I just want to say thanks to them for everything they've done as well.
Terrific. And here we are this weekend, the Welsh Open Billiards back on the calendar after a very long break. I was talking to Annette Newman earlier on, and she's delighted to be here. A learning experience for her, in her own words, she knows that. But what are you hoping the players you're working with will gain from being here in South Wales this weekend?
Not just a lone experience, but we've met a lot of friendships here as well, just in a short period of time. These guys are great. It's a different community, the billiards, compared to the snooker, and the girls are really welcomed here by Alex and Rob and everybody. And, it's the first time ever in the history of billiard sport, not just in Ireland, to have women playing billiards, but to come out here at the world stage to play the sport. So the girls are really enjoying it. As I say, we have Annette, who's our national champion for the last 4 years. We have Valerie there, who was number one in the intermediate scene, and Tina's back up onto the scene again. And they're quite good players as the ladies standard at the moment is going, Christine then is our special needs champion. And so it's great to have them, and it's inclusive of everybody. So important for the promotion of female cue sports that we get this, and probably get more of it. So we're hoping to work maybe in next year, run an event in Ireland, please God. See more women, maybe coinciding with the men's tour. Hopefully we can see that taken off, and I can see it happening, because there's a great buzz in Ireland at the moment for billiard sports. So hopefully we'll see more players taking part.
That would be terrific. And finally, how important is government funding in helping youth development and giving them, travelling expenses, so on and so forth, coaching expenses? How important is that government backing to you?
It's very important, because players need some sort of a backing when they come to events like this, especially travelling all over the place representing their country and their association. But we've been running on a shoestring for the last 23 years. We've had no funding so far. But we've been looking recently with being approved for a grant for our academy, which is the first ever in the history of the sport in Ireland. So we're delighted with that. At least now our girls will have first class facilities to practice on, and then to go away, and then not to be intimidated by the standard of tables and stuff in the UK. Now, we have a lot of good standard tables in Ireland, don't get me wrong. We have the Ivory Rooms in Carlow, which is a fantastic club. We have then the Northwest in Letterkenny, who's another great club up there. And a lot of the smaller clubs then would have a certain few tables that they would look after, Sharks in Newbridge, we have the CYMS Newbridge, which is another great club and great supporter of the female cue sport. So, there's a lot of great people out there behind us, and, we want to show them that we can do it, we can promote it, and we can get more people playing. That's what's important.